Hey everybody, welcome to our channel, 70 by 70 Retirement. This is Josh and I'm Petra, and this channel is about our decision to semi-retire and to go travel the world. But it really is focusing on like the everyday living in retirement as we're doing that. Prior to leaving the US though, there's a lot of things that have to be done in order to go travel the world. So our first videos are going to be about that whole process, and today's video specifically is about downsizing your life. So if you feel like this is a channel that you would like to follow, please hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so that you can follow along on our journey. Downsizing, how do you do that? You've got a lifetime of stuff in your house, and you've made that decision, let's go travel the world, but you can't take your house with you. So how do you do that? Luckily, we made this decision and we have about 12 months, or had about 12 months, before we set sail, so to speak. And that thought is super exciting. And then you take a look at your house and you start to get intimidated because now you've got all the stuff to get rid of. And quite honestly, like there was, some discussions like, are we gonna just give it to family, friends, like make them take our stuff, take it to the Goodwill, or should we sell it? Anyway, so we're gonna talk about that process today, about how we got started.
Eliminating everything in the house, what did that mean to us? How are we gonna get that accomplished? So we decided that we should maybe make a plan of how to eliminate things in the house, and a good rational way to do that. So the first thing that we thought of was trying to eliminate everything that didn't hold any emotional value to us, and then sell off our belongings to help offset the costs of new travel equipment and expenses. Our timeline, as Petra had pointed out, we ended up deciding to go with 12 months. Originally, after saying let's do it in 18, we went ahead and said, oh no, let's go a little faster. We got this. So once we knew how much time we had to think about what we needed to get accomplished in what periods of time. And so it was paramount that we had a good idea of what to do. 12-month period was related to a cruise that we've signed up for. It's a business cruise. We are going to meet this cruise in Rome, and we wanted to do, as a departing from the US, we wanted to do a transatlantic cruise where the ship's repositioning, and they do those in April. So that's kind of part of the reason why we got down to 12 months pretty quickly, but it's for a good reason.
I had heard and seen other people that are doing what we're going to do, and they said you need to start early, and I took that to heart. So we had 12 months. Basically, as soon as we decided, we made that decision, it was almost like a weight had lifted off of my shoulders and I was ready to go, but I had to determine, like, okay, what am I going to start with? And so like Josh said, we knew that we were going to be keeping, those kind of sentimental, kind of emotional type things, baby books and photographs and that kind of stuff. So we knew we weren't getting rid of those, but everything else, how are we going to do that? So the logic thing for us was, let's get rid of the stuff that we don't use on a regular basis, maybe a couple times a year. So an example might be the fondue set that we liked, right? We like to use it, but again, we only use it maybe one time a year, maybe 2 times a year. Those type of things were easy to get rid of. Early on, I also was a collector of some Le Creuset, and I had lots of Le Creuset things, but again, I wasn't using every single one of those pieces every day. So I knew that those could go early, as well. Things like a home decor. Yes, it makes my home look pretty, but I don't really need it to live for the next 12 months. So that's another example. Things like tools in the garage that we didn't really need, either. We bought stuff when we were fixing up the house, and it just kind of sat there. So didn't need those type of things. So that's what we started with. So we kind of went through the house, and we set up a station out in the garage as we were going through the house and going through everything. And we were like, okay, these are the things that we don't need. we put them on the tables, I should say, and then I would go through those and then, sell those. And then we would do like another sweep. Okay, it's time to do another sweep. What are other things that we didn't get maybe the first time? But again, we don't need these to live for the next 12 months. And so then we would do like, another, sweep through the house. And we have done that several times as we've gone through this process. So things like crock pots. Well, I had 2 crock pots. Do I need to? Nope. So second sweep, got rid of one, and I kept one for the winter time. Our dressers. I know it sounds funny, you gotta put your clothes somewhere, but we didn't need the dressers. We were able to use the cubbies and the shelves in our master closet for the clothing that at that point in time that we have already deemed that we were keeping to use to house our clothing, and we were able to get rid of the dressers. Same thing with the bookcases. We got rid of a lot, the things that we housed on our bookcases, like our media and stuff pretty early on. Clothing. And so we looked at that kind of seasonally. So first, I am a girl and I had lots of clothing like in the attic. So I went through it. What do I not need? What am I not wearing? Let's just get rid of that first. And then as we were kind of going through that next process, okay, this is the end of summer. Am I taking any of these clothes with me? Am I not? If not, let's get rid of them. Keeping the winter stuff, for right now. But is there any winter stuff that I'm not going to use? Because if not, let's get rid of it. So it was this whole process, but continuous process from the time that we start, where we're continuously going through our things to get that cleared out.
So the last thing that would be left would be anything that we had any kind of emotional attachment to. Childhood things, toys, or pictures from all different times in your life, different friends from different eras, your college years, your high school years, your little kid years, and then also as you became an adult, people came and went, but you still have the memories in your photo albums, and sometimes you'll have some keepsake things that remind you of those times. So that's what we're talking about with these emotional attachment items.
Now, I will add, I have kept my teddy bear since I've been 2 years old, and I do plan to keep that. It is very emotional. I don't use my teddy bear every day, but I am keeping it. It is now 51 years old, and I still have it.
Yes,
so.
And I have a gingerbread man that I think is older than your teddy bear, and I'm keeping that one too. I don't use it anymore. Used to bring me lots of comfort, but not so much anymore. So I went through some YouTube travel channels where people had talked about when they left, what did they leave behind, and how did they pack, and how did they get out of town. And a lot of it had to do with this emotional stuff. Essentially, they were recommending if you had more than a 10 by 10 space, you probably needed to reevaluate what you considered really important. And maybe you're just a little bit too tied to your belongings. And in fact, some of those YouTubers said that they kept too much stuff and wish that they had just sold more of it so that they wouldn't have to return and sell it off anyway in the future, and that's kind of what happened to them. In our case, we're going to probably have about a 3 by 5 space of belongings. I'm keeping a few paintings. I've got the gingerbread man and a little boy toy, and some lederhosen from my childhood, and then photos, and really that's about it. So not too much for me. Petra has her belongings as well, maybe a few more collectibles from all the friends she's made along the way. But in the end, family's going to keep it. It's small enough that we can keep it with family, and once we do finally decide to find a location to settle back down to, we will bring that stuff into our new home at that time.
Yeah. Now, I would like to add at this point in time, like, these are the decisions that we've made. Some people have decided to keep their home and rent that out while they go travel full time. Some people have decided to keep more items. So we're not trying to say that this is the way that everybody should do it. This is the way that we've decided to do it, and the decisions that we've made that fits our travel lifestyle better.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody can have their own way of doing it, and we're certainly not going to recommend the best way for you to do it, but just things for you to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All right, so this brought us to how to start selling our life, really. Our belongings, not our life, but our belongings. Yeah. And we wanted to start on a positive note. make an impact early, and that way we'd have things are moving in the right direction. So one of the things that we did, we knew we had an opportunity to sell our media, things like DVDs, CDs, and books. There was a local bookstore. We knew that we could sell them there. They would, and whatever they weren't going to purchase, they would just collect from us. So we were donating and selling to this bookstore, and we emptied out, I don't know, 6 or 7 different shelves of stuff. That was the first thing that we did, and it felt really good getting rid of all of that, because I was like, well, I don't know that I'm ever going to watch this stuff anyway, or even listen. CDs. Who has a CD player anymore? I don't. So it was good to get that stuff out the door.
So that was our first kind of, success. And then we were like, okay, well, unfortunately the bookstore doesn't take the rest of the stuff. So what are we going to do? And we looked at some different options. I do remember when I was a young kid, really enjoying going to the auctions, so that was the very first thought in my mind. And we're now kind of like in the later spring, kind of early summer type period. And so I thought, let's have an auction. And for a couple of reasons. One, it brings in a lot of people, and then they take the stuff with them all that day, so you get rid of stuff, kind of quickly. I also thought about estate sales as well. And when I was reaching out and contacting these individuals, those methods didn't really seem like they were going to work the best for us, such as auctions. At least in our area, a lot more of them nowadays are all online. And we started watching the auctions with the companies that we had contacted with, and we weren't really all that happy with what they were getting. Now we realized that, we're going to be selling our things, and what is valuable to us may not necessarily be for somebody else. And so we do not expect to get, top dollar for all of these things that we're selling. But at the same time, what we saw the items going for in this online auction, we felt like that we could probably get maybe through some different platforms. We also reached out to some estate sale companies. Again, we really like that idea of maybe in a short amount of time, they can bring through a lot of people, a lot of stuff gets sold, quickly. But again, it didn't really work for us. I really wanted to take an approach where we would have 2 selling days, because our place is kind of small and you have a lot of people coming into your place. And I thought there was no way that we can get all of our stuff out and in visible range for them to see, plus the things that we still needed to have to live with. And the companies I spoke with didn't really want to do 2 sales. They just wanted to do 1 large sale after we sold the house. And within that 30 days of closing, and we were like, I don't think that will work for us. So we said, okay, let's try garage sales. And although we did 2 garage sales, and if you've had a garage sale, that's a lot of work. They weren't all that great, and primarily because it seemed like the weekend weather was either raining or blistering hot like in the 90s, and nobody wanted to come. So it was really hard for us to judge and try to get the word out at the last minute. We're like, okay, the weather's going to be nice this week, let's have a garage sale, and then try and at the last minute to get that out and advertise in different places, and it just wasn't working for us. So really, in the end, we said, let's try the marketplace. I had already been selling some of those things on the marketplace that I knew that I could, that were worth kind of more than garage sale prices. And that seemed to be going really well for us. So that's really what we ended up using. And quite honestly, it's worked out really well. Now, check in next week, because I'll have a video specific about the Facebook Marketplace, the things that I've learned, the process I went through, the tips, the advice, and the hacks, so to speak, if you will, for lack of a better word, coming out next week. So that for us was a really good platform for us. It takes longer because you're kind of working that in throughout your daily life, like everything that you have to do with like your jobs and your house and all the different things. So it takes longer. You're posting individually, you're communicating with people and they're coming, you're setting up times to do it. But honestly, I really liked end up having that connection with those individuals that we were meeting. A lot of people would ask, where are you moving to? We would tell them what we were doing. And there was a lot of support. I would say probably 95% of the people that I've met through this process has asked us to give them our YouTube channel because they wanted to follow along. And besides that type of support, we've made friends during this process, something that you wouldn't expect to happen. But again, these new friends, of course, our interactions with them are somewhat limited before we go, but friends nonetheless, that we now consider friends. So that platform has been very good for us.
It's been very successful in many ways. We've got to meet some new people who are excited for us about our plans, and then also have managed to sell quite a bit of our stuff. Didn't have to just donate it like we heard some other people who had traveled had to do. So that's great news too, because we really were hoping to, counter the costs of new equipment and new clothing and new everything moving forward with the belongings that we had. And it was really, after talking to a couple of those people about the estate sales, just really dampened our mood about the idea that we could possibly even get any money back on anything. So the marketplace has worked out really well. It's been an excellent avenue for selling our products. So now we get to the very end. We've gotten our plan down, it's working, we're selling off our household items, and now we're at the point where we're considering hitting the road. And so now we have to think about where we're headed and how we're going to live. And we're going to be living in hotel rooms, we're going to live in cruise ship quarters, small apartments, and how are we going to be traveling? Well, we're going to be traveling on pretty much every kind of vehicle you can imagine: airplanes and ships and ferries and cars and buses and trains. We're going to do it all any way we can to get to where we're headed next. All right, well, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. And please like, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons. And we will see you
In the post.
In the post, yes.